Welcome back. So we've just heard there that more than 1,100 educators have died due to COVID-19, and that's according to that Basic Education Minister, Angie Motshekga, who was briefing the media just a few minutes ago on schools opening tomorrow. She says the department has phased in schools opening for the past 3 weeks, while teachers and management staff have been at school for 2 weeks, preparing to receive pupils. For reaction, Satu's Qalani Fakure joins me now. Thank you very much for your time, Qalani. So some schools and unions have raised concerns over a lack of adequate PPE. According to the presentation that we've just heard, the Northern Cape is the only province that doesn't have sufficient masks. So based on information from your members, do you feel that the issue has been sufficiently addressed?
Well, firstly, Annalie, let me greet you and let me greet the viewers as well. And perhaps just to start off as a remark, we really do want to welcome our learners back to school tomorrow. We believe that there has been a significant improvement, and this is where the issue is. We conducted our own survey as education unions within the LRC, and we can confirm that from the 18th of January to a second survey that we then conducted that closed on the 9th of February, we saw some significant improvement. That is why we are confident to an extent that indeed we can resume with the academic year. However, there are concerns not just within the Northern Cape, especially a number of the other rural provinces. We mentioned Eastern Cape, we mentioned KZN and Limpopo as well, whereby there are still concerns in terms of the adequacy of the PPEs that would have been received. However, like we said, that there has been significant improvement. And other various concerns that we also have, Annalie, are of course around the psychosocial services. For us, this is an extremely important point because we are all dealing with a serious level of anxiety that would have been caused by really the COVID pandemic that none of us would have experienced before. So we really feel that there could have been more clarity. There needs to be more clarity on that in terms of how really we are going to get assisted, because both learners, teachers, we all suffering the same levels of anxiety. So those are some of the concerns that we would have Annalie.
Another big concern is sufficient numbers of teachers. We've lost a lot of teachers, over 1,100. Also, we heard there over 15,000 teachers with comorbidities applying not to return to the classroom. They will still be working from home. However, that drastically impacts the numbers of teachers that are in classroom situations available to implement those socially distanced classes. What is your feeling on the readiness?
Well, I mean, another fact, Annalie, is that this is precisely why, ever since we started with the conversation around the closing of schools and reopening of schools during the 2020 academic year, we emphasized as such that there needs to be really a greater intention, right? There needs to be greater investment towards the digital communication strategies. For instance, when we talk about educators with comorbidities, whose renewed agreement, by the way, we must still finalize at the ELRC, when we talk about those, it is also about how then do we assist them to continue working whilst we deal with this peculiarity. And again, we saw something which should have made all of us uncomfortable during the course of last year, South Africans, whereby certain schools in the more affluent communities could continue with education whilst the majority couldn't. And that is because of the availability of digital communication resources. And that is why we are calling, by the way, for an education stimulus package, not just to deal with the challenges that comes with a COVID compliance, etc., but also to ensure that we do not go back into a crisis that looks like we're in a COVID era again, even post this particular phase. So that is what we believe should happen in quite a forceful way.
No mention from either the Minister or the DG of vaccinations for teachers. Do you think that's something that should have been addressed in this briefing as well?
Well, we believe that the President, through the SONA, would have already adequately addressed that. We are also quite comfortable that with the briefings that we continue to get from the relevant ministries that are handling the vaccination process, it's really quite fair. I mean, we are also, as part of what we did with this particular research that we're talking about, the survey, I'm sure Prof. Mary will talk about as well, we tried to assess the perceptions and attitudes of education workers around the vaccination process as well. And we found that to be quite positive. Most are in support of the government strategy, and most of our members are saying that indeed everything must be done to ensure that the system can really kick back into action and we can move forward as a country.
Well, thank you very much for speaking to us. No doubt we'll all have our eyes very keenly on the education sector in the coming weeks. That was Satu Balani Fakude.